Welcome to the MMA Corner. I am your host, Jody, and today I'm going to be predicting UFC 262. Mainly just the co-main event and the main event. The other fights, they look good, but they're not going to change the division if a fight happens in them. Yeah, I don't think Caitlin Chukagian is going to get another title shot for a little while, so I don't think that fight's going to mean much. And the bantamweights are pretty locked in who's doing what soon. So I don't think that stuff's changing. But as far as the co-main and the main event, they're going to be huge for shaking up the division, the lightweight division. So I'm going to talk about Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush first. Uh, Honestly, they're both amazing. Obviously, uh, Dariush is on a good streak right now. Ferguson's on a losing streak, but I don't think we should count him out. I mean, look at the two guys he fought and lost to. I think he fought two killers and lost to them. Gaethje was insane and on a tear, and Charles Oliveira is currently fighting for the title on the weekend. So I think to have losses to those guys who, after beating you, go on to fight for the title isn't a bad thing. So I don't think he's at risk of getting released. Obviously, they've seemed to have changed the rule of three and you're out with Cowboy, obviously. But Tony Ferguson, I don't think it's looking good for him recently. He's losing in places where we thought he was very dominant, like in the stand up against Gaethje. I thought he would outclass Gaethje. I thought he would be weird and wild, and then he got beaten for 4 rounds. He did win. I think he won round two. One of the rounds in there, he won, but he got smashed there, and then he wasn't very offensive off his back like we thought he would be when he hit the ground with Oliveira. Like, he was offensive, but it didn't do much, which kind of puts that Habib conversation way to bed. Like, that shit is buried 6 feet deep with how that Charles Oliveira fight went. So my prediction, though, I don't think either of them are going to get finished. I think it'll go the full 3 rounds. And honestly, I couldn't tell you who I think is going to win. I'll just tell you who I hope wins. And that's Tony. I would like to see Tony, come back up into the lightweight division, because a lot of people seem to be talking about, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, Connor, and Dustin Poirier right now. And I feel like it's an injustice to forget about Tony. I don't think it's right to say the winner of Poirier versus McGregor gets the title shot against whoever wins on the pay-per-view this weekend. I think it's more fair to say the winner of that fight, if it's Poirier, gets a title shot, and if it's McGregor, gets to fight the winner of this weekend's co-main. And hopefully that would be Tony, because I think Tony versus McGregor would be great. McGregor does not earn a title shot by beating Dustin Poirier. I don't think he's done enough to do it. He's won one fight against a guy who's lost 5 in the last two or 3 years. In the last little bit, his only win is against Cowboy, and that should mean something, but it doesn't anymore because of how far Cowboy's kind of gone down. So if he beats him, that's great for Connor, but I don't think that gets him a title shot. If Dustin beats McGregor, though, Dustin was already in talks for the title. So I think he gets that title shot. But I think McGregor, if he wins, he should get the winner of this fight. And I would hope that that's Ferguson, because Ferguson and him would be a great fight. And that's literally all I'm basing my choice off of, what kind of fights I want to see in the future. So Tony over Dariush. So then moving on to the main event of Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. For a long time, I was saying Chandler's not going to be a world champion because he's a Bellator guy. I honestly do believe that Bellator is a lesser promotion. It's got less talent in it. But there are guys at the top of the talent pool there who are just as good as UFC guys, just haven't gotten the chance to go over there yet because they're in contract, or while they're in that contract with Bellator, they've, while they're locked in it, they've grown in stardom or grown their skills because they're also training with guys who are in the UFC. So to say that there's no one in Bellator that's that good, like Douglas Lima, is it Douglas Lima or Diego? One of the Lima brothers, who is the welterweight champion right now, is world class as well. I think he would do great. I think if he came over, he would give Kamaru a running, but I'd still say Kamaru beats him. But to get back to Michael Chandler, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to come out early and try to storm Oliveira. He's going to try to get an early knockout like he did with Dan Hooker, and I think he's going to get it. And then I hope he and Dustin fight for the title. Because, in all honesty, I don't think Michael Chandler has earned this title shot yet. So he's going to feel somewhat fake. I think the conversation was going to be Dustin and Charles Oliveira. So if he beats Charles and then beats Dustin, you can't say he didn't earn it. I think right now they're kind of just giving it to him because he's a big name. He beat Dan Hooker really quick. So I think and it's like interesting to see that someone in their second fight is fighting for the belt. So in all honesty, I don't think he's quite earned it yet. I think maybe he should have had another fight beforehand, but Dustin chose Connor. So you got to give it to somebody else, and you're not going to give it to Tony. And you're not going to give that title to Justin Gaethje, even though you could have. But Gaethje coming off a loss against the champion doesn't quite scream to me that he gets the title shot right away. I think what Poirier did by beating McGregor, and I think he beat Dan Hooker at some point before that after his fight with Habib, unless that fight was before, whatever. I think he's done enough. Like, just by beating Connor alone, you beat Connor, you get a title shot. That seems to be the narrative around Connor nowadays. So I think it's going to be Chandler. I think he's going to go out and storm him. But I do think there's going to be a handful of people who say he has to fight Dustin now to like prove what he's done. I think it'll be within the first minute and a half. I'm gonna put my neck out on this one and say first minute and a half, Michael Chandler's gonna go out there, try to go for that early knockout, and he's gonna get it. And then I'm gonna be totally wrong, and it's gonna be Charles Oliveira by submission in the 5th round or something stupid like that. I'm sticking with Chandler knocking Charles Oliveira out early, and then I think if he wins, we get a bunch of cool matchups. If Charles Oliveira wins, he's pretty well put away a lot of the division. He'd have to fight Poirier. He'd have to fight Justin Gaethje. Those are the guys left. And then after that, I think he has to fight Connor, right? Like Connor would be the only guy in like the top of the division he hasn't beaten unless Habib comes back. So I think there's more interesting matchups if Chandler wins because he can fight everybody in the division. But if Charles Oliveira wins, it's kind of he wins and then what? So I think Chandler's going to win, and I hope Chandler wins because it'll be more interesting for the division. Not to mention his style is more interesting for the division. Charles Oliveira's his style is great. I love watching him grapple, but the casual fan base doesn't. The casual fan base wants to see someone like Michael Chandler win. Wants to see someone like Michael Chandler fight Dustin Poirier. Wants to see someone like Michael Chandler fight Justin Gaethje. Wants to see someone like Michael Chandler fight Tony Ferguson. Wild fights, crazy fights, knockouts. So I think overall it'll be better if he wins, and I think he's going to. I think he's going to come out like a marauder and just swing. Or he's not going to swing. He's going to be, good about it. He's going to do what he did to Dan Hooker. He's going to throw bombs at a good time. Because if you watch that I think it was an overhand, right? If you watch him knock out Dan Hooker, it is perfect. Like he steps in for something as if he's going for a shoot, and his hand comes over top and just nice crack. And Dan was hoping for that takedown. I think he was looking to defend, and his hands were down. So I definitely think he's going to do something similar with Oliveira. If it hits the ground, though, I still think it's a challenge because if you watch the clip of Michael Chandler wrestling with Kamaru Usman, goddamn, that's some high-level wrestling, and I think that's crazy. So if he hits the ground, I think he might neutralize. Like, they won't be doing anything. They'll get stood back up, I think. They're going to be able to neutralize what each other are trying to do, and then they're going to get stood back up, which will favor Michael Chandler. That's if that fight goes beyond that first minute 30, and if someone gets taken down. So at the end of the day, I'm saying Michael Chandler, first round knockout within a minute 30. That's my prediction.